What is up? Welcome everybody.
Hey,
How you doing? How you doing up in Alaska, Phil?
we're here. We're still here. Balloons can't
We're
get us
still
down.
the balloons can't get us down. That's true. But we can get balloons down after they completed their mission.
Yeah, I don't know. I got mixed feelings about that. Like I said, I think we're gathering intel. My problem being, why did that take longer than 2 minutes? I'd like to think that all the little millennial snowflakes melting in the basement of NORAD we're feeding viruses backwards and screwing with China like we should be doing, but I think that's believing an awful lot about our military these days. I know the military in my day was capable of doing razoo cool shit like that, and I just don't know these little sniveling idiots that we have there now are have enough brain power left after that Fauci ouchie to do those things.
Yeah, I agree. I think we got some serious work to do to catch up with the rest of the world right now. I think we've leaned our training so
Well, I
far toward being
disagree
woke.
there. I think I think our like Charlie team, half asleep and hungover, is still better than anyone else on this planet.
Well, I think
I'm
I
just
think in the
saying
in the realm of in
the
the realm
Alpha
of
team
like
used to be a lot
legitimate
better.
combat, in the realm of legitimate combat, I wouldn't disagree with you. I just think that we've focused so much of our military's energy on becoming a woke engine that it's
Of
that
course. Yeah.
that's all.
Yeah.
That's all
Yeah.
I'm trying. I am certainly not slighting
That's just a
anybody's
product
serving.
of public school indoctrination for 3, 4 generations at this point.
So
So,
let me get this out of the way here at the very beginning because I'm a little
uh-oh.
disappointed.
What now?
I thought we were gonna have a special guest this week. So
Oh.
hopefully in the
Well,
next
let's
couple of
promote him
weeks,
anyway.
but let's promote him anyway. Our good friend
Absolutely.
Boyd Craven III has released book 4 of The Farm Behind the Curve, and I am
2 books.
very, very, huh?
The Farm came out into January in print,
Yep,
and book 4 of The Farm. And then
yep,
the Audible with Mr. Pierce, right, was
yes,
finished and just dropped like a day or two ago or last week. I don't
yes.
remember.
And I have,
I had
I
it
have
on
already,
pre-order.
have you read it?
You already listened to it?
I've
No.
already listened to it. I'm not gonna give any spoilers. It's good.
Okay.
I'll say this, and I'll let him defend himself when he comes on the show, hopefully in the next couple of weeks.
Well, is it
Uh,
the end?
uh,
Does this close the
is
series, or will there be
No,
another?
no, 100% it is not. In fact, the last line of the book is, and look forward to book 5. So, I mean, it's
Okay.
not just,
Well, I'm
it's not
down for
just that
that.
he left the door open, but he left it. So I will say this to, and I've said it before, and I don't know if I've said it to him directly, and I don't even know if he watches anymore, but I'll say this. I understand what they're trying. They get paid so little from Amazon and from Audible
Yeah, I saw it was
per
only a
book.
7-hour listen.
It is. It's like it's almost a 7 hour listen because it's got a short story attached to the
It's
front of
getting to
it.
be, yeah.
But you
Can
you
I
need the
say
short
this
story.
without being rude? Would it be incredibly rude to say that Audible and Amazon have reduced these to dime store novels? Is that
Ooh,
with
yeah,
meaning no
man.
offense to the author,
Right,
intending no offense in that way? What
right.
has happened is in the ever seeking profit,
Yeah,
Amazon,
yeah.
Amazon
Amazon.
has forced authors to create dime store novel like lengths
Yeah.
for sales.
Now,
Um,
okay. I think likening it to a dime store
and
novel
I
is not inaccurate, but I'll say this: it's probably closer to what I would call half a book. Okay, so like, and I'm torn. I'm torn. Let's be honest. Okay, so when I get a Jack Carr book, okay,
yeah,
it's going to be a 12 to 14 hour book, right? To listen to, sometimes a little bit longer, and I'm going to listen to it, and I'm going to devour that book pretty quickly, and then I'm going to wait a year to hear from Jack again, right? Most likely 9 months to a
his
year.
process is 1 year. minimum.
is 1 year, right? And in fact, there's a new Jack Carr book dropping soon, and I'm very excited about it. But
It is
so
for
so
as
so
well.
so so when Boyd or when Mark or when these other authors that I like a lot, when they write what I would kind of classify as half a book, they get paid more because they're getting paid per book, right? And I get to hear from them sometimes, and the best of times I get to hear from them twice a year. So really, I'm just buying an extra book, and if it means I would pay twice as much to support Boyd. Like like
We went
I'm
through
here
this
for
with
it.
Goodman. We
Yeah,
both of us would have preferred to buy directly from him. Let's dump the middleman, get rid of Amazon, and he gave the fans what they asked for. He made a website. He threw
yep,
it out there, and he's like, "Look, like 100 of you bought.
yeah,
That's not cutting." So
no,
you can't do both. It is either Amazon or no one for
or
these
no one.
authors.
That's exactly right. And so
Amazon
I
wants
got,
exclusive rights if they go
yep,
with them.
yep,
So
that's right.
we understand it, and we can't fix the system, and I'm not going to hold it
No,
against those that are forced to play it.
no,
I support Mr. Craven. I agree with you that it means that we get 2 or 3 a year from him,
yeah,
which is fine with me. And like you're
yep,
saying, the only real complaint is that it takes more credits then. Well, we
yeah.
have
That's
no
yeah,
legitimate reason to lodge such a complaint
no,
when I'm on average paying, what is it, $11, $11 for an audio book,
right.
and
Yep.
$4 to $5 to add on the Kindle.
Yep.
Um, and our understanding is that the authors kind of get half of that, but that is to then be split. The half gets split with if you hire a narrator like Mr. Pierce,
Right.
or if you have some other development costs or other costs, they all come out of your
Yeah.
half of the gross
Sure.
profit.
Sure.
And again, none of us are crying a river for Mr. Craven. It's what he's chosen. He's really good at it, and he's the
Yep.
first to say, "I'm making an honest living." He's
Yep.
not complaining either. So
No.
don't misinterpret what we're saying as putting words in his mouth because we're not.
No.
He's
All
not
I'm saying
complaining
is I
about it
wish the
either.
book was longer. That's all I'm saying. I enjoyed it so much that I wish I was still reading it. Like that's
Good.
and first world
That's the
problems,
best
man.
endorsement we
First
could
world
say.
problems. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely. So for those of you who may be seeing this video, you don't understand why the heck we're talking about a book so vaguely. Let me just tell you that it was one of the original series that got me kind of hooked into um, post-apoc
Post APOC.
thought experiments. Thought experiments for preppers to give you the idea. And the farm is based in a it's really it's awkward because he wrote this book just before the pandemic, and there's a pandemic in the book series, and so it was quite um, apropos. Let me just say it
Foreboding.
that way. Yeah, foreboding. Yeah, and I will just say this. One of the things that we talk a lot about on this broadcast is that what if you need something to do the mental gymnastics to get into prepping. Just imagine if COVID-19 had been 10% worse. Okay, just the reaction to it, the gubernatorial lockdowns, the stupid administrative stuff. If it had just been 10% worse, and what I think you see in the farm is maybe 20% worse, and so it's a slow burn apocalyptic world. And dare I
Accelerated
say, it gets
timelines for the book
yeah,
because you can flip
dare
a
I
chapter and have a year go by.
yeah, and so it's very very good, and so in my opinion, the slow burn definitely speeds up in this newest book, and so there's a ramping, there's a speech. I'm going to wait a couple weeks. I don't want to spoil it for any of you who have got it and you haven't read it. There's a speech in this book that is like, ooh, baby. I just want to pound it out onto like a t-shirt, except for, I'm already on probably half a dozen watch lists at this point. So, um, but, uh,
Oh, I
but
don't
no,
care.
anyway, it was good. It was really, really good. I commend Boyd, for knocking out another, just, we'll call it a page turner, even though we all know that I'm an Audible listener, but, yeah, very, very
Well,
good
he
stuff.
promised us quality over speed, and we
Yeah,
applauded him for that while saying, "Hurry up."
Yeah,
And he did. He
that's
took his time
exactly
to
right.
do it right. So it's good to hear. It's good to hear
Yep.
that. It's I don't know, next read. I'm closing out a 15 book series. Um, that's it's difficult to get through this final book, partly because I know it's the last,
Mm,
and
yeah.
partly because the reviews really imply that there's a lot of the community is extremely upset over it.
Oh,
But I'm a big Craig Allenson fan, and this
okay.
is closing out the Expeditionary series,
Okay, you're
which
finally
is a
willing
big
to tell
deal.
us what it is. You have not been disclosing to us what series you've been listening to.
No, that was a whole different series, and I'm still not going to disclose because I don't really like it. And
Yeah,
I've been
I'm
through
with
like
you.
four in the meantime.
I know what series you're. Yeah, and I wouldn't endorse it either. I wouldn't put people toward it.
Um, in fact, there's the one series that you and I are talking about right now. I checked out of and like got into some kind of borderline pornographic stuff, and I just clicked the delete right off the device and said
Yeah.
I'm done. I don't need it.
Did you know you
I'm
can
kind
get
of
your? Do you know you can
disappointed.
get
That's
your credit back?
I did it once. Um, and I'm not going to bother doing it for that one. But
Okay.
um, yeah, I know. And I bought a friend's book once, which was kind of outside of my genre. And I did it just to support his wife had been writing a book for like 12 years. So when it hit, I bought it. And I kind of regret that I left a review, because I slammed it a little bit. It kind of got into that, romance novel talking about bulging members and whatnot. And I was like, not my thing. I
Yeah.
don't, there's ways that you can discuss sexual activity and content and things like that in books, and
Sure.
good men does it well. You
Right.
can do it in a way that is respectful, not pornographic, that explains because it is a part of life and it does influence things. And you can even have, of course, it can influence in negative ways like rape scenes, things like that. I don't want vivid
Hmm.
details about a rape. It's enough for me to know
No.
that it happened,
Yep.
to influence the character, right?
Right.
There's a line, and to me, it's not that difficult to find the line.
Right.
Um, and I probably it helps book sales to cross the line. That'd be my guess, but it doesn't help it for me. I will say I kind of regret leaving the review that I did, stating a little bit of truth. It probably hurt the sales. I was one of the first reviewers. It probably did hurt the sale. The second book has not come out. I regret doing
Mm.
that to a friend, but I myself would want the warning
Yeah.
before being
Well, you know
exposed
that
to
what
it.
I like so much about even Boyd's books is, I mean, obviously sex is a part of the world, like that it happens. Babies get made, and
Right, but he has a
uh,
great way of doing it in which you get it, you get
yep,
the scenario right, the intent, the positive sides, the negative if
right,
needed, and it's not
yep,
graphic and ridiculous. It's not
exactly.
pornographic.
And
He does a great job.
almost in a jesty comedy kind of like way, like I love and he's almost always got a character, like Angel, who's vastly
Mhm.
inappropriate, or not, no, vastly uncomfortable with the discussion about sex. And so like one of the other couples will joke, and they'll be joking about their sex life or someone else's, and then Angel gets all fired up and gets super uncomfortable, and she's like a crazy badass. Like she'll whip somebody's butt, man, and has and does it a lot of the books. And so I like it. I like the way he writes. I like the way he writes for dogs. He really writes well for dogs. The
Yeah.
thought process and what's going on in a dog's mind, without completely anthropomorphizing dogs. And then this book, uh, he takes that, this series, he takes that and he does it really well for children. There's a little boy, Harry, in this series, and then in this book, there's two more kids, and he does a really good job. I think he does a good job of writing for dogs and for children. Um, um,
I would
not
agree.
necessarily,
Yeah, I totally
not
agree with that.
yeah. So
And
so
I didn't
anyway,
get into that series that you're relating to. The Opus series is what you're referencing, for the other series
no,
about
no, no,
dogs,
no,
and I know you did a great
no,
job.
actually. Yeah, I agree. You didn't get into the Opus series, but I'm talking about even just Ranger and in this series.
Right, in this series. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
He's got two
I
dogs,
I'm agreeing I'm
Ranger and
agreeing with you. I
Roscoe.
want to get into those, and someday I will. I've bought them all, and I put them on my End of the World Kindle that sits in an EMP bag. I will listen to them someday. So, Mr.
Yeah.
Craven, you can live well understanding that, after everybody's EMP'd and I'm sitting in a cold, dark shelter somewhere, I'll still be listening to your stories. So thank you.
That's exactly right. So let's talk a little bit about headlines, man. I mean, we've had some interesting stuff. They shot down the balloon. We've had a State
Yeah.
of the Union address. Well, the
Sniffer
farcical
in
State of the
chief
Union.
got up there, told a bunch of lies, and did some propaganda. Got called out a little bit for it.
Yeah,
I think, for the most part, the Republicans actually did a decent job in response. Did you listen to Mrs. Huckabee's response?
I didn't
So
know. Tell us about it.
when so the minority leader, right? Historically, someone within that party will give a response to the State of the Union address. That's our
Right,
heritage.
right.
And Sarah Huckabee, the former, um, White House spokesperson
Yep,
for, the Trump administration. She was the first one, I think. She was
she
there
was.
for about 2, maybe a little over 2 years.
Did a
Her
great
father
job.
is Mike Huckabee, um, and he has a weekly show on YouTube and, one of the Christian
Yeah,
networks. He does a pretty good job. It's okay. It's Mike Huckabee. Um,
yeah,
I liked him. I voted for him when he was running. But Sarah
sure.
did an excellent job. Her response, um, made me struggle emotionally. It just is one of those where you listen to it and it's so patriotic and well done that it makes you cry. And I kind of like looked at the
Hmm.
corner of my eye over at the couch to see if the spousal unit would notice, and I saw tears coming down her face. So, um,
Wow, I
I'm
will
not
go and
the only
listen.
one, but I'm the guy who stands up in the theater when we do the Pledge of Allegiance before a movie, and we'll cry at the national anthem. So,
Sure.
it means something to me, and so I'm not surprised when extreme patriotism, strikes me in an emotional way. But
Yeah,
when it affects others, then I'm like, oh, okay, then I'm not the only one here. But she did an
yeah,
outstanding job. It was respectful, which is something that, you never will see out of a Democrat. They
yeah,
don't even understand what the definition of the word is, let alone how to do it, or
yeah.
lie at it. And then, but it was to the point, and she refuted the points. And what she basically said is, we have a divide in our country. And on one camp, there are absolute crazy people trying to destroy us and our nation, and on the other side, there are God fearing good people trying to stop them.
Hmm.
And there really is not an in between. And that's the
Right.
unfortunate truth, is that most people, because they don't like someone or like a message or whatever, I mean, I really don't even care, or they're just misinformed and stupid.
Yeah,
They live in that realm of lukewarm in the middle. And
sure.
I've run out of patience for them. I'm
Yeah,
glad that, they're not my crowd, nor do I feel a need to protect, defend, or help them
yeah.
anymore. You've made your line.
Well,
Indecision is a decision,
yeah,
and if you're in the middle ground, you're in the wrong, and both sides will hate you.
yeah, yeah. It's true.
Passivism is actually a sin.
Yeah,
So good luck with that.
yeah. I agree. I think
You're not
the
called
Bible
to do
has a lot to
nothing in
say
the face
about
of
lukewarm.
people.
Yeah, the
It
Bible
does.
has a lot to say
So
about
I'll say that,
lukewarm.
if you haven't heard it, you should, find it
Okay,
online.
I will.
It can't be hard. It was
No,
publicly broadcast, and, now people are talking about, her getting into the presidential election, which I hate to hear. I don't want to hear DeSantis getting into the national. I don't want to hear, um,
right.
Huckabee deciding to get onto the national. Do your state well. That's what we need. Do our states well, and let the
Yeah,
others fail. And
yeah,
we don't need to go to DC to fix it. We just need to ignore it, wall it off, and let it die like the cancer that it is.
right. Yeah, no, I agree. I'm with you, man. I think at this point, the federal government. In fact, I don't know if you saw this, but Texas is actually they are discussing articles of secession. So that is on their state floor right now.
Texas
They
discusses a lot of things that they don't follow through on. I wish them well. I hope they'll do it, but I don't have a lot of confidence it'll happen.
I hope they do it too. I hope they do it too. I hope Alaska does it, but I think Juneau has been just as hijacked by crazy left weirdos that,
Oh,
you
more
know,
so. Yeah, it's similar to DC. It's an unsafe place for conservatives to be.
correct.
They're their own little protected island with their private police force.
Hmm.
And politicians go there to do whatever they want. You know, the what is it? What was that crazy movie, Eyes Wide Shut or whatever, with Cruz and Kidman and
Oh, yeah, that was
um,
disgusting. Yeah.
so we had the politician went on with Lovell of Warrior Poet Society, and what was his name? Madison something or whatever. And
Hmm.
he kind of shared some eyes wide shut stories that he had been exposed to as a first time DC politician, and got nailed. I mean, they must have threatened him bad enough that he went. I mean, he's just disappeared.
Yeah.
He has disappeared. You don't hear from him again. They
Yeah.
they declared war on him for exposing them, and he's just like, yeah. I mean, it's right out of the movie. It's literally right there. It's both sides. It's ugly. It's disgusting. It's satanic, and it's what
Yep.
happens. Well, that is reality. That is the
That
reality.
is reality. That
So
is reality. That's
there are
right. That's
5 or 8
exactly right.
good people in that governing body only.
Well, and
5 or
you know
8.
what's interesting is you bring this up in that kind of eyes wide shut scenario, and one of the things that was really striking me today, and I know I've mentioned it before. I'm out feeding the chickens and the pigs, and doing my daily chores. Making growing protein out in the yard, right? And we're getting ready to put up a big meat pole and butcher pigs and do all the things. And I've already got pigs ordered, the next round of pigs ordered. And so it's an interesting situation. So I say all of that because um, one of the things that really freaks me out, okay, and I'll be honest with you, not a lot does. I don't get surprised and I don't get freaked out. Jesus is in control. Like all that stuff is real. But I'll say this: the the fact that we are so clearly on the edge of civil war, like this country, like even what you've described as, Huckabee was sharing, they're gonna do everything they can to keep us from rising up against DC. They're gonna stack the deck however they can. I don't know if you saw the headlines this morning, but evidently there's some like real evidence, and there's a confidential source that has revealed that we were the ones that took out, and we kind of knew it to begin with, but we were the ones that took out the two pipelines from
Norwegian.
Russia.
I I'm I haven't read the evidence. I've seen the allegations, and Veritas is now falling apart, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Did you hear that, what is his name? The kind of, CEO, he's not CEO anymore. He started and was the primary reporter for Project Veritas, because 'cause they're the ones that leaked the
No,
story, and then it went to Snowden. Um,
no, but there's a but
Snowden
there's
is
another
saying he looked
there's a
into it.
there's another one
Oh, is
though
there
that
another? Because
that
Project Veritas
there's a way more
made that
mainstream.
allegation. There
Yeah,
was a
this
German reporter, maybe that's the one you're referencing. There's a German
yeah,
reporter who was the one who investigated and first talked about Abu Ghraib.
yeah,
He did exposés during Vietnam.
yeah,
He did it, and what was the other thing? It was something rather large.
yeah.
He
But
tends
that's who I'm talking
to
about.
do
Yeah,
it
that
before, and
guy. I
he's
can't
the one
remember.
making the allegation. And then Project
Right.
Veritas, kind of endorsed and got behind him, and then, uh, Pfizer bought out half their board, and they just ousted that the whole thing's falling apart,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
Pfizer is not gonna take
Veritas is gone.
what Project Veritas did to them standing down. It probably will not
No.
be around. There'll be a new Project Veritas. That organization's gonna fail.
Yeah, it's
It's
yeah.
gone.
It'll
They've
they'll
locked
they'll
him out of
just
the building.
dismantle it.
It's like
But
taking
but anyway.
Zuckerberg, right, back in the day with Facebook and locking him out. But before we move too far on, I wanna say this real quick, and then please go back to your point. The Eyes Wide Shut thing. Please don't watch that movie simply because
No,
we're talking about it. find the
No.
trailer if you don't understand what we're talking about, and there's
Yeah.
enough in the trailer that you'll get the point. Please don't
Yeah.
watch that movie.
Do
It
not.
is
That was not an
softcore porn.
endorsement of. Yeah, it's
It was
awful.
not. Yeah, yeah.
It's
If you don't know
absolutely
what's going on,
disgusting.
just watch the trailer, and don't even watch the trailer with your children around.
Yeah, no, absolutely not.
Just
Thank
because
you,
it was
Phil. I
13 kid in
really
it
appreciate you
doesn't mean
saying
it
that.
wasn't pornography.
Really
Okay, so now
appreciate you
move on
saying
because
that.
I wanna
Yeah,
get that out there.
so, but what I'm saying is, what I mean is, if this evidence is reliable, I really truly believe. Here's my thing, and I've said this a few times, but I think today I'm more concerned
NordVPN
about
that
it than
we
I've
did.
been in a long time. They're going to drag us into World
Okay,
War III to keep us from going into civil war.
blaming us.
They're gonna drag us into World War III to try to stabilize who we are as a nation, and to galvanize their power as the federal government, because really and truly the only thing we really truly need the federal government for is national defense. And that's it.
And border
And so,
protection.
yeah. And the fact that they have seized power, I mean, Alaska is a great example of how they own more land and they limit the people's access to it than the Constitution ever allowed. There's all
Yep.
the federal government only knows how to take and take and take and take and take more power, and we are
Self-feeding
at a place
demon.
where the people are going to begin standing up. There's just no again, I don't want to get into too many spoilers of
I
Boy's
really
book,
wanna
but
believe that.
this
Oh,
speech that is
yeah.
given is so good, man. I want to be the one to deliver it in real life, and I just want to say that I think that we're at a place where if something doesn't happen, we're really, really, really on the edge of people rising up and taking some serious action against the federal government. I mean, even if it just turns into a guerrilla war, which is more likely than not. What would happen is just is
Yeah.
a guerrilla warfare. So I say
Arguably,
that.
we're already there, and the ATF and the FBI are already doing a
Agreed.
guerrilla war against us and softening the
Agreed.
ground by
And
getting rid of key players. Iraq veteran
yes.
8888 was approached by the FBI this week and threatened.
Yeah.
I mean, the big players, the social media influences they're not even being quiet about it anymore. They are
Yeah.
straight up threatening social influencers like Donut Operator and people like that
Yep.
uh,
Yep.
to to support the public narrative or suffer
Yep.
consequences.
Correct. So I just say all that because I really truly believe that they're going to drag us into an actual hot World War III to try to galvanize their power and to keep us from rising up against them. I think that was what 9/11 was about. And I think that that's what it's about. And I know that I sound like a broken record when I talk about this stuff, but I think today, of all days, when this Nord Stream 1 and 2 pipeline stuff is rolling through, this scenario where we're seeing another round of infectious disease kind of taking, like they're trying to do this bird flu thing and chickens and all the silliness that we can talk about later. But I just really feel like they're going to pull us into some major global conflict, to because it's all sleight of hand, people. It's all, hey, look over here, and whatever is happening over there, don't look over there, okay? And Ukraine is a
Hmm.
spectacular sleight of hand where it's like, look over there, look over there, look over there, and it's like, no, man. I've had elderly veterans that are just so fired up. They hate war with they've seen the real ramifications of war, and they're just like, we got to go after Russia. And it's like, whoa, why do you think? Well, they're raping people in the streets over there. They're raping women in the streets over there. No, that's and if you look, that was on the flyers before the Gulf of Tonkin. That was on the flyers. Like they were saying that about Vietnam. They were saying raping them in the streets is
Yeah,
a is
that's
a
the
thing that
propaganda machine.
that's the propaganda machine. You got to be careful with what you're listening to right now, because they're gonna and our boys and girls are gonna go over and die so that they can preserve power. They're gonna pick a fight that we have to fight that'll very likely
We've
come to
picked it.
this soil.
Yeah,
Albert Einstein. I heard
that's
about
awesome.
this is Albert Einstein was approached and he was asked, when in the reference to the atom bomb and the hydrogen bomb and those kinds of things, and shortly after Hiroshima and Nagasaki, or Hiroshima, yeah. Um, he was there. He was asked, "Well, what's World War III going to be fought with? What kind of weapons will World War III be fought with?" And he says, "I don't know, but World War IV will be fought with sticks and rocks."
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, that's heavy stuff right there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, not gonna disagree all that much. And I think for those who misunderstand, because we in so many generations now have not seen our own men, women, and civilians at home have to put up with a battlefield. Like we talked about last week on the live show about Japan occupying territory in World War II, occupying Aleutians and sending um, kind of dumb balloon based bombs, which
yep.
actually killed some people in Oregon.
Hmm.
They made ground in Northern California, and there's a couple of things that they just didn't really do very well. And so um, with with those minor things excluded, the last time we've really seen a foreign enemy on our soil actively, right, in an acknowledged war would be what, War of 1812,
Yeah.
right? So when they burned down our capital,
Yep.
um, I don't. So we're so far removed from it that people don't remember it, and they don't understand
Yeah.
it, and it's multiple
Yeah.
generations removed that they just don't get it.
Yeah.
There is a very high likelihood that portions of our soil will be included in the active battlefield.
Yeah.
Um, it's hard to imagine that not happening, which
Yeah.
means Mexico and Canada are getting dragged into it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, neither one of those countries are going to be helping us,
No. No.
so
Not at all.
they're going to be utilized
They'll
against
be
us.
utilized. That's
So
exactly
I don't
right.
know. I think coming out of it will be a good thing because I think we'll own half or all of Canada. So I'm in favor of that. But we may
If
end
we
up in
survive.
a divided nations, a Western country and a Eastern country. That'll be two different countries, and I
Yeah,
just
there'll be a
hope it doesn't
balkanization.
look real
They
good.
will.
I want my side to be on the West. And that's not looking good right now. So
No, I think you're
uh,
right, and I think that one of the, and I've said it before, I think one of the things that's most terrifying about civil war in this country is as soon as this country is destabilized, the rest of the world will rise up to keep 50 different nuclear states from stepping forward. They will not allow 50 different nuclear superpowers to emerge overnight.
and we may, pay attention to Korea and their history and the fact that they're still at war,
Yeah,
um, and the demilitarized zone between them, because that's what we're going to be looking at is a Eastern and Western with a demilitarized zone. Um,
hmm,
and I just think Canada's going to get folded in. So
yeah,
Mexico
probably so.
may just not exist. There'll be a big old, there's already kind of a wasteland in that whole southern region near the border.
Correct, correct.
It's very possible that just becomes no man's land there as well. And
Yeah,
so uh, Mexico kind of sides with the rest of Central America to the south. That whole Puerto Vallarta, southern regions just kind of go that way.
yeah,
And the northern regions just don't exist, and that'll probably spill over into Texas because it just makes a ton of sense. I mean, Texas, you want to go ahead and try your secession games, and you're so divided. Um, I think Texas just becomes a demilitarized zone. So
yeah.
good luck with that. I'm not coming to save you or help you. We are going to see a
No,
lot of people who are like, I will stay in my state and defend my territory here. I am unwilling to go across the country to fight your battles for you. You're the ones that let Austin exist. You're the ones that have created what you created. Good luck with that. I'm not sending my children, nor am I going myself to help you.
no, I agree. I would absolutely in words I would back a Texit, but I would not go and help. No,
Sure. And maybe even financially. I want you to win. I don't think you will.
yeah, sure. I'll send some ammo to my friends. Sure, that sounds good. I would offer safe
Yeah.
haven
I don't know how.
to
I mean,
3 families in Texas if they want to flee.
Yeah,
Just
hell of
three,
a fight.
and they're very
Hell of a
specific.
fight. I've been watching. There's some pretty damn high speed guys that have been consolidating in Texas for a while now.
Yep, that's
It'll be a
right.
hell of a fight. Texas put on a very entertaining fight, and I think the lukewarm people that are caught in the middle have no idea what's coming.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there's some high speed guys that have become completely corrupted by becoming federal government people. That I mean, again, you called it, and I'll stand by and say that I was wrong. I have put a lot of hope in Dan Crenshaw. I read his book. I was very excited about him, and and I'll give him all the respect in the world for being a service member, and he's done some really important stuff. But boy, I'll tell you what, power corrupts. That's all there is to it.
He's just gone the way of the globalists,
Sure.
like Mattis.
Hmm.
And you want to rally behind a strong personality who is very matter of fact, but he's a Patton to the core. And for all the good things that Patton and Mattis did for our country, and we owe them a lot, their core is a globalist, one world government belief structure, and neither
Yep,
one of them are or have ever been Christ following.
that's right. I would, and I'll say
That
this. I'll
affects your
say this.
foundation.
At least Crenshaw comes by his globalist ways. Honestly, he grew up in Brazil, so he grew up with one foot in America and one foot in the rest of the world. That's I
Yeah.
okay. I got it. I've spent a lot of time overseas too. I wouldn't say that I grew up there by any stretch. My wife did. She's not a globalist,
Yeah.
you know. So,
Yeah, so a lot of interesting things which lead back towards what the same message that we always say, which is read these books as a thought experiment to take
hmm
Mr. Craven has a completely different upbringing and mindset than either of us, and
hmm
he approaches things from a different way, and that makes his thoughts on a story um helpful because
yes,
you can see things from a different perspective. You
hmm
can go down a logic tree that we might not go down, and compare it to what others do, and that
yeah,
becomes very useful to examine other people's ideas so that you can prepare more broadly. And that's the underlying
correct.
message. And I think Mr. Craven has said that as well on the show. Right, in the end, it is how he makes his living. He does mean for them to be entertaining, but his real goal is that people would think and prepare
Yeah,
themselves. And we know that he has the best interests of people in his heart and his mind, and that's what he ultimately would hope you would get. Not that you're scared to death by his books, but that you would consider things you might not otherwise consider and spend the time to get to know how to do useful skills like making your own
right.
flour and putting things away. What are you going to do 2 to 3 years into scenarios where things are not available, how to protect yourself and your family from
Yep.
others. And because it's always better to harden ahead of time than it is to be on the run and be reactionary. All of us, anybody who's any sort of expert, would implore you to harden and bug in if
Yeah,
at all possible. It's not that you
absolutely.
can't have and shouldn't have a bug out plan. You should,
Yeah,
but that's the 1% worst case scenario. And you should be putting most of your efforts into the 99% most likely scenario of bugging in. And so
yeah,
that's what we say. Get your stuff,
yep.
bug in, be prepared, have a plan if it all goes to crap, but do the best you can to stay where you are. So that's what
Yeah,
we would say. Get your during the Sniffer and Chief's little propaganda speech, he talked about an assault weapons ban. He bragged about he did the last one. He'll do it again. Basically, he does have two or three very militarized branches of the government at this point that are willing to do his bidding, despite the
yeah,
fact that it's illegal. So you can expect an assault weapons ban to happen.
yep.
Um,
He's gonna go.
you need
He's
to
gonna go
prepare for
executive.
those. Yeah, you need to prepare for those things now. Whether we win in the end through the courts or not is to be seen, because I don't know if we'll be around long enough to have courts to do that.
Yeah.
I just strongly suggest you get a hold of the tools that you need now. And I'm not saying everybody needs to go out and buy some sort of gun that would be covered under this ban. Um, you know, there really does come a period where it's probably too late. Not that they aren't still available, they are. But if you don't have one by now, then you don't know how to use one either.
Yeah.
Um, Everybody who carries firearms for a living will tell you that the training is more important than the tool. So if you don't have basic tools, then you're probably just not in our crowd. You're not the
Yep.
sort of person we're talking to. You're already screwed, and you just don't even know it. Um,
Yep.
for whatever your reasons are, it just doesn't matter. You'll somebody else will be to blame all the way to the end of your death. Um, Somebody
Well,
else's fault.
I had a very passionate conversation, and when I say passionate, it wasn't angry. I mean, it was just passionate. I had a very passionate conversation with a loved one, 2 weeks ago. I think it was 2 weeks ago, about this conversation about preparedness, and and it was funny because I just pat him on the back. I just gave him a POB because he was like just really motivated to get some health stuff situated, right? You know what I mean? Like, you're on a weight loss journey. I'm on a weight loss journey. We're trying to be healthier people. Doing the things that, I've really ramped back up in the last week, 2 weeks. Like I want to get going again. I was kind of happy sitting at about 290. And because hey, when you spend a bunch of time at 450, 290 is, woo, you feel great, and I mean, and so, like I've been back on the bike this week, and, those kinds of things. And so, but he was just talking about, needing a surgery, really motivated to get his surgery. And, his wife's walking through some health stuff, and she's really motivated to get through her health stuff, those kinds of things. And I was like, bro, I'm proud of you, man. Get after it, get to it. I mean, like, and do whatever it takes in the next 6 months to just get all that stuff handled. Just in the next 6 months, just get all of it handled, man. Like, and he's just like, well, why in the next 6 months? And I was just like, well, dude, we got a poly crisis. We're staring down the barrel of a poly crisis. And I
Well,
think that if we
you may
don't,
not have 6 months.
we may
It's
not.
just I
I'm
don't know
just
how anybody
saying,
do it faster.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
There
Multiple
there is no
surgeries.
time that's better to start than yesterday, and the next best
Right.
time is today, so
Yeah. Exactly. So I
don't
was
wait
just
for
like, man,
tomorrow.
I was just, and all I was saying was, good job, man. I'm glad you're motivated to get healthier, right? And he got like pretty kind of sideways with me over the fact that, it's like, well, gosh, this is, you're so depressing. And it's like, no, you don't understand, like and he asked me about the conversation of prepping, and he doesn't watch this show. I don't think, I mean, if he does, I'll get a phone call. But he had said something about, well, you went from being a pastor, in a pulpit, spreading the gospel every week, and doing the things, and now are you just hiding on your farm? Is that living out the gospel? And I was like, whoa, dude, you misunderstand. I was like, let me take you back to the Christmas story, okay? The Christmas story involves this group of people called the Magi, okay? And there are these, and the Magi came from Babylon. First of all, they were
Mhm.
in Babylon, and they looked at the sky, and they saw a message in the sky that
A
said
fulfillment of prophecy.
the king had been born, a prophecy had been fulfilled, and the king had been born in Israel. So they looked in the stars, and they knew that something miraculous had happened a couple thousand miles
Not
away.
through astrology, but
No,
because
no,
Hebrew
no.
it foretold about the star.
If
That's
you
what we're
want,
saying,
if you want more
not astrology.
information, if you want more information about
There you
that,
go.
go grab a copy of the Star of Bethlehem. Okay, but the bottom
There
the
you go.
bottom
There
line the bottom line is, how did they know? How did they know what the sky said? Well, there was this guy named Daniel who went into exile into Babylon, and he never got to come home. Daniel died in
yeah.
Babylon. See, most people don't like to think about the fact that Daniel, you read the book of Daniel, there's some really heavy end time stuff. The book of Daniel walks hand in hand with the book of Revelation. Okay, like you can't study the book of Revelation without studying Daniel, and you can't study Daniel without studying the book of Revelation. They don't walk together without holding each other's hands. They don't walk without holding each other's hands, right? And so, so you look at that and you have to ask yourself, well, what happened to Daniel if he never left? He started a school. He started a school in exile, in hiding. He began to train young men how to watch and look and see the things of God. Okay? So, did I leave a weekly pulpit and hide out on a farm? Maybe. But at the same time, doing a lot of training. We're helping a lot of people learn how to become self-sufficient. Got a lot of people lining up going, teach me how to do that. I mean, I had lunch with a brother today. And
Yeah,
we had
but
a
here's the deal:
wonderful.
as pastors, we get called to. There's different people that people in ministry are called to minister to,
Yeah,
and what has happened is that those who are within our sphere and call of ministry left the place where we were. So
yeah,
we left with them.
yep,
We didn't leave first, we didn't lead them out. Those
right,
who are in our sphere of ministry we are called by God,
yep,
have left, and being obedient to him to minister to those people, we went also.
yes,
So that's the concept you have to understand.
yes,
There's not a single thing calling me back to the place where I was.
yep,
There's only going forward where God has called me to be.
yep.
We would be disobedient to him if we did not physically, mentally, and verbally go where he tells us to go.
Yeah.
So there's the answer. That hurts some feelings in those who are left behind. They weren't left behind by us. They're either disobedient or they never were in our crowd.
Or they're just lonely and they're hurt that they miss somebody that they care about. I mean, there's some of that. And this guy was
No,
very
there
he
are
was
loved ones that are there, loved ones and
yeah,
family, right?
right. No,
And
you're
some people
absolutely
are
right.
still struggling to get back into obedience to what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Um,
And he was another
but I don't.
person that out of about 150 people that I've looked in the eyes and went, you need to read 1 second after. Like you need to read it like right now, and I'll give you an example. I had lunch with a dear old friend today. Okay. And we had a wonderful visit, catching up, hearing stories. We haven't sat across the table from each other in 25 years. Okay. And, we've had
Mhm.
some peripheral social media engagement, and it was so funny to find out that he's like, man, he's like, I want to hear about what brought you back, to the Ozarks and what brought you back to this area because like I've been watching like the truck and the makeshift air conditioner and all this stuff. And he's been watching my content, and he's like, and so we had a really great conversation and man, we had a blast. And then we got to the parking lot and I was like, hey man, where are you going to church? Now you got to understand, I accepted Jesus in his church because he invited me to come. Okay. You know, and this dude got tears in his eyes and basically just poured out this church hurt, dismantled by man's version of the kingdom of God, and was kind of just put his hands in the air and went, I don't know. I don't have a home church. And I don't know how to move forward from here. I know that the religiosity of this area is not what I'm called to bring my family into. And I was like, dude, so like I'm still pastoring. I'm still loving some. I'm like we took a went to lunch with a buddy. I can't say I took him out. He bought lunch. I was very thankful for that. And and he just poured out his heart. Just hurt, and there's so much of that because the Americanized church sucks so bad, and and just we'll just milk people for all the free work that they're willing to give to further their situation that has nothing to do with Jesus, has everything to do with a bottomless offering bag. And I'm going, I think that a lot of ways, what I'm doing out here on a silly little chicken farm is more the actual church than, in some ways, anything happening inside of a brick and mortar, four walls, stand behind a pulpit kind of situation. Now, I hope and pray that I have the opportunity to stand inside of one of those buildings again, so that I can lead people out of it, so that I can lead people into like real community and step outside of religiosity and into like real God honoring community. We'll see what happens. I don't know. But it was just an interesting conversation today, and so I say all of that because, like, I'm not just prepping so that I can go into a hole in the ground and hide
Mhm.
when times get tough. I'm prepping. I hope you're prepping. I know Phil's prepping so that we can affect positive change and have what we need when the world falls apart to share the love of Jesus. There it is.
Yeah,
Somebody's got to get ready for it.
or arrange a whole lot of yeah, or arrange a whole
Or,
lot of meetings.
or arrange a lot of meetings, and those meetings might be on your knees or on your knees. You pick the context.
Yep.
You pick the context. So,
All right. I think great show this
item of the
week.
week.
Good.
Item of the week.
You're getting our heart behind why we do the show and why we implore you to prepare for lean times. So,
Yes.
item of a week. I don't know. I don't have anything new within arm reach. So, um, I don't know. I'm into explosives lately, but I don't want to talk about those.
Yeah, no. I mean, we always say food. We always say ammo. Buy food, buy ammo. That's what you should be spending your money on right now. I'm sorry.
Good
Listen,
luck
you
on
can get
ammo. So
offended.
we've been telling you for the last year, buy it. It's expensive, but it's here.
It's
That
not.
is gonna
It's not
that's
here.
gonna stop.
Yep, it's
It's
coming to
gonna
an end.
stop pretty
You
much
can
right
find it right
now.
now, but you need to get out there and buy some ammo, like ASAP.
Yeah.
I
Go ahead
item
and
of the
yeah, prices have gone up just in the last 24 hours, significantly. Go ahead and get together with people and do the pallet orders right now.
I think my item of the week is
If you
going to
don't have
be
pallets yet.
there you go. I think my item of the week is going to be medical. So I think we always talk about food. We always talk about bullets.
Yeah.
I would say get online.
There are challenges to that as well right now.
There are, there are. Get online. Get where you
I
need to
got a
go.
ship
Don't
notice from
buy
Refuge
stuff
this
off of
morning.
Amazon.
For the most part, you're going to get Chinese expired crap, or you're going to pay twice as much because somebody is using it just to reach to people because people only buy on Amazon and the costs associated. Go directly to people like Refuge Medical who are doing
Yes.
really good things and they have quality gear. They put together good kits. Their prices are very appropriate.
Yep.
Um, I just
They're not cheap.
I
Don't
just
look for
dropped them
cheap
two
there,
new
but
buttons
they're appropriate.
yesterday. Um, I think they're relatively cheap given what they're sending.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess um, I'm waiting to get some of the breather bags and the other stuff, but like their nasal pharyngeal airway stuff and the little kits there,
Yeah.
$5, $6. You really can't do it much cheaper than that. But
Right.
he gave a warning that chest seals are being bought like crazy. He just had to make some ridiculous amount of chest seal orders because he's not going to be able to get
Yep.
any for 3 to 6 months.
Yep.
The Israeli bandages
DOD.
have been through shortages for a while. DoD is rebuilding their IFAKs and which is individual first aid kit. Not only that, but the nature of the individual first aid kit is changing because the war we are going into, where we've already sent a couple million troops, is a different type of war, and so the medical needs are changing,
Right.
and that is putting stress on our supply chain. And so, unfortunately, yeah, you're going to get a lot of cheap Chinese crap online, and to get the good stuff is getting to be difficult. But I agree with
Yep.
medical. If you don't have it, You need to be thinking in the mindset of not just stabilize, stop the bleed, and get to help. What happens when help is not coming?
Right.
Go from there, right?
Yep.
So you can have all the C-spine kits and backboards and SAM splints and breathing apparatus and all that, but the reality is you're just wasting equipment if you don't know what to do um, when you
Yep.
can't get someone to emergency care in a couple of
Right.
days, because
Yep.
that person's going to die anyway, and you're just wasting your resources.
Well, one of the things I think you have to
If
realize,
you're
and this is a
Well, if you
very
don't know how to
hard.
amputate a limb, why use tourniquets?
Exactly. Exactly. Well, one of the
I'd
things that
rather
I would
bleed
say
out
this
than
about an IFAC is that most people don't know how to do the mental gymnastics to get around the fact that I carry multiple IFACs in my truck. One of them belongs to
yeah,
me and only me, and it only gets used on me. I have extra gear to
and it has
use
the best
on
stuff in it.
family. Well, my
Yeah,
family's
that one
IFACs
has a
have the
Cat
best
7
stuff in them.
branded actual tourniquet, not a Chinesium. Like,
Right, right, and
do you
so
see they're
so
making them
for
in orange
so
now? Yeah.
they are making them in orange now. That's actually really cool.
Oh, red and orange
But
is
I would
good.
say,
It
but
is.
I would say this, okay? Get a real genuine IFAC for everyone in your family.
If you don't know what to do, buy one from Bear. That's what I
Buy
say.
one from Bear.
Well, who was your other
Just go
company?
to
I like
Refuge
My Medic,
Medical.
but
My
I
Medic is
don't
good. I've bought
recommend
a
My
lot of stuff
Medic
from My
unless
Medic.
you I have too, but they have a lot of cheap Chinesium filler crap in
They
there.
do, they do,
And I
and Bear
dropped
stuff
the
does not.
$2,500 kits. Right. Agreed. Medical and ammo.
I
Those are the things that are going to be not available very soon.
Yeah, agreed. I think that's exactly right. In fact, I'm just gonna go ahead and pull up Bear's site here real quick. Let's take a look at
Well,
this.
Bear said
Oh,
it's called Refuge Medical, I believe.
yeah,
I
absolutely.
kind of interestingly, I don't know if they did this
Oh,
last time
never
or I just
mind.
don't remember, but when they shipped my kit this morning, they sent me a
Right.
video in a text. I probably just didn't give them a phone number last time. And literally a personalized thank you for ordering from us. Here's a video of me putting the stuff in the box and sending it to you. Thank you for your
That's
order. That's
awesome.
so cool.
That is so
Within
cool.
24 hours they did that. So they're really good people
Yeah.
there. They go and save
Yep.
children from sexual bondage, and then they
They
stick
do.
with them for life. They don't just
Yeah,
drop them off at some shelter. They are the shelter.
they
So
are
they're
the
really good
shelter.
people doing
They
good things, and
absolutely
they
are.
deserve it. But they're also still not charging too much.
They're not.
Um,
So I
what
would
was the
say
other?
go see those guys. I was gonna pull the site up. My computer's still being weird. I can't pull up another site. I gotta
Yeah,
say goodbye, you guys.
kind
We're
of hard.
wrapped up anyway. You have a fantastic rest of your
Yeah.
day. Phil, thanks for your time today.
Okay, we're out.
All right, we are gone.